Yeah, these guys are just tough to figure out this season. I mean, looks like when they take a step forward, they seem to also take two steps back here. You know what I mean here, as it's time for another episode of... Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here, as it's time for another episode of my Calgary Flames in 6 here. Here we are in Season 2, episode number 11 here. As, it's just definitely been a frustrating season to follow the Flames this season after having the best season in a generation last season here. Although we did have a disappointing finish in the playoffs there, but it seems like it's really continued on here. As in this episode, we'll recap games 55 to 60 here on the 2019-20 NHL regular season here. And as you recall from the last episode here, well, definitely there was a lot more excitement on the ice with a couple games in particular here. However, in this particular episode, there wasn't as much excitement on the ice here, but as I said in the opening here, there were moments here where it looked like, the Flames were starting to get it together here, and then they go back a bit here. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about in this episode here. Before I get to the game recaps here, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders here. Just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along with that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload anything. And I also have my social media links down below in the description there if you want to follow me along on those other avenues here to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey here. And yeah, it's definitely been quite a journey to be following the Calgary Flames this season here, as you can pretty much say everything has happened here. However, when I take a look at the standings here, nothing too much has changed, but, we just seem to be either teetering on how we're going to make the playoffs, get home ice advantage, or just go out here, as the Pacific Division is still pretty tight here. I think this team's good enough they should make the playoffs, but, are we good enough to actually do something in the playoffs? And, that's why I made that video there about, I think it's time to maybe consider shaking the tree there. But we're still a week away from the NHL trade deadline, and I think this team still needs to do something here to get us over the hump here. But let's recap games 55 to 60 here. Definitely was a very, very mixed bag here. So if you recall here, go back to game 55. This happened on Thursday, February the 6th here. The Calgary Flames were taking on the Nashville Predators at home at Scotiabank Cell, and that was a 7 p.m. puck drop here. It was the last game at home before their 4-game West Coast road trip here. And this was also the first game that the Calgary Flames are going to be without defenseman Mark Giordano here. And I think all things considered here, we're actually very lucky that he's only going to be out for a couple weeks here, considering the nature of the injury here. So actually in this game here, the Calgary Flames actually got off to a quick start. It was Sam Bennett who scored for the Calgary Flames 33 seconds in. However, it was Dante Fabio for Nashville that ties it up a minute and a half later. So early in the game it was 1-1 there. Then past the 11-minute mark, it was Carl Turris for the Nashville Predators, gives them a 2-1 lead. And Nashville had a 2-1 lead after the first period here in this game here. Second period, the Calgary Flames were able to tie it up here. We're looking to tie it up here, but it was Michael Gradlin for the Nashville Predators that past the 9-minute mark made it 3-1 there. So, Calgary was playing up to snuff with the Nashville Predators at this point, but they were down 3-1 here. However, it was Rasmus Andersson 2 minutes later, gives Calgary back on track and within 1. So it was 3-2 for the Nashville Predators after the second period there. Third period, the Flames definitely looked flat here and didn't push back until later in the third period. However, there was actually no scoring to report in the third period here. So actually the Nashville Predators ultimately won this game 3-2 here, handing Calgary their third straight loss, and at this point they actually lost 5 out of 6 games here, and the only win in that 6 games there wasn't a shootout here. So definitely starting to look concerning here, and the fact that at the time here the Nashville Predators definitely gained some ground here, because that was definitely a big 4-point swing game here. Calgary did outshoot the Nashville Predators 39-35 in this game. Nashville, well, they were led by Carl Turris and Michael Granlund. Each had a goal and assist there, and Romy Josi each chipped in with 2 assists in there, so the key players definitely showed up for them. It was Cam Talbot who was in net for the Calgary Flames. He made 32 saves for Calgary, while it was UC Saros who made 37 saves for the Nashville Predators here. So with that win, the Nashville Predators creep a little closer to the playoff line with the Calgary Flames here. So that is the end of that homestand. Now the Calgary Flames are going on a 4-game West Coast road trip here. So that brings us up to game 56 here. This happened on Saturday, February 8th here, as the Calgary Flames were taking on the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver at the Rogers Arena here, 8 p.m. puck drop on Hockey Night in Canada here. And that's, I say, Calgary started off a 4-game West Coast road trip here, and definitely were in danger of slipping below the playoff line here, especially with their recent losing streak and the fact the Nashville Predators were gaining ground here. However, this game did not start off well here. It seems to be a trend here lately is that either we score very early or they score very early. Well, in this case, it was they scored very early, as in Tanner Pearson for the Vancouver Canucks opens up the scoring 34 seconds in. So Vancouver had an early 1-0 lead here. Then on the next face-off here, Matthew Tkachuk for Calgary and JT Miller for the Vancouver Canucks fought to set the tone here. And you got to keep in mind here, as much as I want a Calgary-Edmonton playoff series here, you got to think this could be a potential playoff series, and definitely would be an entertaining one. It's always entertaining when the Flames and Canucks play in the playoffs here. But that's a what-if here. So after that, Calgary was able to tie it up after that fight there, as it was Derek Ryan, who for Calgary just scores just before the 4.5-minute mark. So we had a 1-1 game at this point here. And then Matthew Tkachuk, after he chucks some knuckles here, scores here for Calgary to give their first lead past the 12-minute mark. So it was 2-1 for the Calgary Flames at that point here. Then late in the first period, it was on a lucky bounce. Vancouver actually ties it up at 2-2 as Adam Gaudette scores for the Vancouver Canucks very late in the first period there. And it was 2-2 after the first period there. So anything could still go from here. Second period, Calgary was able to regain the lead as one of our youngsters, Dylan Dubé, makes it 3-2 here just before the 3-minute mark. However, just before that Dylan Dubé goal, as already the Calgary Flames, well, we knew coming into the season we were without Yusuf Valimaki and Mark Giordano recently hurt here. However, it was Travis Hamonic that left the game with a lower body injury there. And actually, as a result of that, he was put on the injured reserve list here. So definitely muddies up the waters a bit in terms of, any trade speculation or how long he's out for. Because Mark Giordano is not put on the injured reserve, but Travis Hamonic is, which tells me that his injury is more serious here. So Calgary's already down 3 defensemen here, if you count Yusuf Valimaki here. So they're down to 5 defensemen in this game here. However, the rest of the second period was high with a couple of coincidental penalties here. As it was Michael Backlund for Calgary and Hagen Marson, the goalie for Vancouver here, engaged in a roughing play just before the 13-minute mark. And then before the 16-minute mark, you had Milan Lucic for Calgary and Antoine Vazell for Vancouver also engaged in some roughing there. So Calgary still led 3-2 after the second period here, but the Flames definitely looked like the much better team in this game here, definitely responding to the criticism and the fact that Calgary was definitely looking over their shoulders here in the playoff race here. I should also add in that Jeff Ford, I think, lighted a little fire there after the Nashville game here. Third period, definitely the Calgary Flames really responded to put the Vancouver Canucks away here. First, it was Milan Lucic. Makes it 4-2 past the 6.5-minute marker. Yeah. Milan Lucic suddenly showing that maybe he is worth that very high cap hit here, at least in a small sample size here. And then Calgary was able to put it away late in the third period. First was Sean Monahan at the 16-minute mark. And then Tobias Riek gets an empty netter at the 17.5-minute mark because Vancouver was already down by 3 goals and they pulled the goal here. So that makes it 6-2 for the Calgary Flames, and the Calgary Flames are ultimately able to win this game 6-2 here. So definitely a huge statement game to start off this 4-game road trip with a big win here. And I think Calgary definitely needed this win here, not only to boost up their confidence. It's always good to beat one of your divisional rivals here. So Calgary wins this one 6-2 here. Calgary was led by Dylan Dubé. He had a goal and 2 assists in this game. Derek Ryan and Milan Lucic each had a goal and assist there. So the third line definitely was responding here, because it's definitely been a problem with the Calgary Flames recently here. Is if our top 6 isn't scoring, we're done. But we definitely need more scoring from our bottom 6 here, and we got that in this game here. And it was Michael Backlund and Johnny Gaudreau also each chipped in with 2 assists here. Dave Riddick was in net for Calgary. He made 25 saves there. Well, it was Jacob Markstrom, who made 26 saves for the Vancouver Canucks there. So that's definitely a good start to the 4-game road trip here. So game 57, this happened on Monday, February the 10th here, as the Calgary Flames are now going to spend the next 3 games in California here. First, they're in NoCal here, as they were taking on the San Jose Sharks here. This was at the SAP Center. 8:30 puck drop here, and first of 3 in California as mentioned here. And hopefully, take advantage of the fact that the 3 California teams this season aren't likely going to make the playoffs, and they're definitely below in the standings here. So hopefully these are points for the taking for the Calgary Flames after that convincing win against the Vancouver Canucks here. And actually Calgary was able to get off a great start. Milan Lucic suddenly has picked it up here. Opens up scoring for Calgary just past the 4-minute mark. And another former Oiler, Tobias Rieder, picks up a goal 34 seconds later. And Calgary had an early 2-0 lead in this game, so things were definitely looking good here. Then 5 minutes later, just before the 9.5-minute mark, Zach Rinaldo, another professional tryout, definitely makes an impact here. So it makes it 3-0 for the Calgary Flames, as the depth players have produced here recently here. Then just over 3 minutes later, San Jose was actually able to get on the board here, as it was Erik Karlsson, makes it 3-1 here. And that's how things stood after the first period here, is it was 3-1 for the Calgary Flames here. Second period starts off a little scrum here, as Milan Lucic for Calgary and Stefan Noesen for San Jose took roughing penalties here. But it was San Jose that actually took the extra penalty in there. But the Calgary Flames weren't able to capitalize on the power play in this case here, but they definitely did later in this game here. Then it was Brent Burns for the San Jose Sharks. So the 2 top defensemen for the San Jose Sharks made an impact in this game. Scores just before the 5-minute mark on the power play in this case. So it was 3-2 for Calgary at that point here. Then past the 10.5-minute mark, another guy that's suddenly starting to find his scoring touch is Mark Jankowski. Makes it 4-2 for Calgary. And that's how things stood after the second period here. It was 4-2 for the Calgary Flames there. Third period, just before the opening minute and a half, it was Matthew Tkachuk for Calgary who scores to make it 5-2 on the power play. Then later in the third period, it was Evander Kane that takes a roughing penalty. And also Stefan Noesen takes a misconduct, giving Calgary a power play here. And it was Michael Backlund just past the 14-minute mark. Scores on the power play here to make it 6-2 for the Calgary Flames. And ultimately, the Calgary Flames win their second straight game by the same score, 6-2 here. So definitely helps with the goal differential here. The Calgary Flames also outshot the San Jose Sharks 37-36 here. So just got the slight margin here. Calgary was led by Milan Lucic, who had a goal and 2 assists here. So if you keep track here, he actually scored 5 points in 2 games there. So if he did that whole season there, this contract wouldn't be so bad here. Definitely, giving us more than what James Neal got last season, but it is what it is. And then Michael Backlund, Zach Rinaldo, and Mark Jankowski also all picked up a goal and assist there. So definitely nice to see our depth players actually finally picking up the slack here. And it was Noah Hannafin from the defense who chipped in with 2 assists here. Now he's suddenly one of our top defensemen here, as we don't have Travis Hamonic and Mark Giordano in this game here. And we called up Brandon Davison, and Alexander Yellison also was called up here. And then San Jose, well, they were led by their leader, Erik Karlsson. He had a goal and assist there. So when it comes to the goaltending here, it was Dave Riddick, who made 34 saves for Calgary. Well, it was Aaron Dell for San Jose, who made 31 saves here. So Calgary's gotten 2 out of 4 on this road trip here. So game 58, this happened on Wednesday, February the 12th here. as the Calgary Flames were taking on the Los Angeles Kings at the Staples Center, and this is an 8 p.m. puck drop here as the California West Coast road trip continues here. This is the third game here, and could we see another Tkachuk-Doughty matchup in this game, or someone else? And also, speaking of Alexander Yeltsin, he actually makes his NHL debut here. It's definitely Calgary short on the blue line here, and I'm going to say definitely some of our younger guys here I see are still better than where they are right now. They're putting Michael Stone on the fourth fence pair, or the middle pair there. Definitely Michael Stone definitely has lost his NHL play here, but we're definitely short in defense right now here. First period though, the Calgary Flames looked a little flat here to start here. As this season, the Calgary Flames have struggled against the Los Angeles Kings despite the fact that they're in the bottom of the Western Conference here. So there was no score in the report after the first period here, but the Los Angeles Kings looked like to be the better team here. Second period did not see any scoring until the middle of the second period here. However, there was no Matthew Tkachuk or Doughty dance to report here. However, it was Milan Lucic for Calgary and Curtis McDermott, who Los Angeles that fought just before the 6.5 minute mark, as they definitely have had some history there, especially earlier this season. So definitely fought there. It was actually Calgary that opened up the scoring past the 11-minute mark, as Michael Backlund, who's picked up some goals on this road trip here, makes it 1-0 Calgary. However, Los Angeles picks up 2 goals fairly quickly here. One guy that apparently is rumored to maybe come here at the trade deadline is Tyler Toffoli, who ties it up at 1-1 just before the 12.5-minute mark. And then at the 13-minute mark exactly, it was Austin Wagner who scores the Los Angeles Kings. So just like that, it was 2-1 for the Los Angeles Kings. And then before the intermission, it was Matthew Tkachuk for Calgary and Alex Martinez, another player that maybe potentially could come here, if you base it on rumors here, for the Los Angeles engaged in a scrum here, but it was Matthew Tkachuk that took the extra penalty. So Matthew Tkachuk still was involved in some physical play here, but not with his usual dance partner and Drew Doughty here. So Los Angeles took a 2-1 lead after the second period there. Third period, it was Curtis McDermott who actually passed the minute and a half mark, makes it 3-1 for the Los Angeles Kings here, but it was Elias Lindholm for Calgary that makes it 3-2 just before the 3.5 minute mark, so the Calgary Flames were back within 1 here. And then the dagger happened as Jeff Carter for Los Angeles makes it 4-2 just past the 15-minute mark. However, as Elias Lindholm again scored the second of the game and the 24th of the season at the time here, makes it a 4-3 game just before the 17-minute mark. Calgary, I'd say, looked flat for much of the game, but did press back later in the third period here. However, they could not find the equalizer here. Sean Walker for Los Angeles pots an empty netter with 3 seconds to go in the game here. So it was Los Angeles that actually takes this one 5-3 here, and actually the Kings, I think they took, actually the Flames were able to take 3 out of possible 8 points against the Los Angeles Kings this season. So definitely a tough one to take here, considering where the Kings are in the standings and where the Flames are in the standings here. Calgary actually did outshot the Los Angeles Kings 38-33 in this game. Calgary was led away with Elias Lindholm. He had 2 goals here, and Johnny Gaudreau chipped in with 2 assists here, and Curtis McDermott only had the Gordie Howe hat-trick here, as he fought Milan Lucic here, but he also led the way with a goal and an assist there. And Anze Kopitar also chipped in with 2 assists there for the Los Angeles Kings here. Well, it was David Riddick who made 28 saves for the Calgary Flames, and then Calvin Peterson, one of the younger goalies that the Kings are high on, because they kept Jonathan Quick and they actually traded Jeff Campbell to the Toronto Maple Leafs there. He actually looked pretty good for the Los Angeles Kings. He made 35 saves there, so that also seems to be another thing that seems to be a theme for against the Calgary Flames this season. There's always new young goalies seem to also have a big game against us. So that was game 58 here. So game 59 here, this happened on Thursday, February the 13th here, as the Calgary Flames were taking on the Anaheim Ducks at the dreaded Honda Center here. 8 p.m. puck drop here, second of back-to-back nights, and wraps up the 4-game road trip here. And I always have to keep calling it the dreaded Honda Center here, as the Calgary Flames historically have had trouble winning here. And to put things in perspective here, it's been since 1996 that the Calgary Flames have not won back-to-back games in Anaheim here. I mean, the Calgary Flames did win that game in Anaheim here, but they went on like 27 games without winning a game there. And Keep in mind, they're back in 1996 here. The Calgary Flames were wearing their pedestal jerseys there. And speaking of jerseys here, I am still working on my Calgary Flames jersey ranking video there, so hopefully it'll come out here in a week here. But to get back to the game here, actually the Calgary Flames got started off well, and they got rewarded with goals here in the second half of the first period here. And it was definitely satisfying how the Calgary Flames played and how the result happened in Anaheim here. First, it was Elias Lindholm, his 25th of the season here. Opens up the scoring for Calgary, and then Michael Backlund makes it 2-0 here. So it was 2-0 for Calgary past the 12-minute mark here. Then Oliver Shillington actually makes it 3-0 here for Calgary. Just past the 13.5-minute mark there as he found the corner there with traffic in front of the net of John Gibson. And then it was Mark Jankowski suddenly keeps finding a scoring touch. Makes it 4-0 here in the final minute here. So Calgary actually had a 4-0 lead after the first period here in Anaheim here. And did I mention that we have trouble historically winning in Anaheim here over the last, couple decades here. So definitely was a great start here. One thing to highlight here, after the Oliver Shillington goal there, when Calgary made 3-0 here, it was Zach Rinaldo for Calgary and Nicholas Deloriers for Anaheim fought to, spark up the Anaheim Ducks here, but didn't work up to this point here. Second period, the Calgary Flames continued their strong play, and on a turnover while short-handed here. Michael Backlund scores on a breakaway there, and it looked like that, he was going to, if he didn't score on that play there, he might have either gotten the penalty shot or Anaheim would have made it 4-4 with the play there because it was on a delayed penalty here. So it was just before the 16.5-minute mark for the second period there. It was Michael Backlund that makes it 5-0 for Calgary here. Calgary 5-0 lead after the second period here. Third period, Anaheim did push back. Trying hard to get back on the board here. However, it was Mark Jankowski. Gee, where's this guy suddenly come from here? Scored a second of the game here to make it 6-0 for Calgary just before the 7-minute mark here. And ultimately, the Calgary Flames picked up a very rare victory, 6-0 against the Anaheim Ducks here. Definitely was beautiful and satisfying here. Anaheim actually outshot the Calgary Flames 44-32 in this one, including Anaheim outshooting the Calgary Flames 14-5 in the third period alone here. One thing to note here, Calgary was led by Michael Backlund and Mark Jankowski. They each had 2-goal games here. TJ Brody and Angie Mangiapane chipped in with 2 assists each there. And then it was Cam Talbot who actually started for the Calgary Flames, as he actually has played well against the Anaheim Ducks, especially when he's played for us this season. He made 44 saves in the shutout there, and his first shutout that he had with the Calgary Flames here. But it's also noted that that actually sets a franchise record for the Calgary Flames in most shutouts, saves in a shutout. So I believe he beat Mika Kiprusoff's record by 1 save there. So Cam Talbot is now in the record book for the Calgary Flames here. Trivia question there. So then for Anaheim here, it was John Gibson who started. He made 12 saves for Anaheim here in the first period here, but he got chased out. And it was Ryan Miller who was in. He made 14 saves for Anaheim for the rest of the game here. So Calgary takes 3 out of 4 on this West Coast road trip here, including that big win against Vancouver. So I'm going to say it was a successful road trip here. Picked up some points here that we definitely need to keep pace with the Pacific Division here. So now, Game 60 here for the last game recap for this episode here before I'll take a look at player stats and standings and my usual look ahead here, which will be for episode 12. So Game 60, this happened on Friday, February the 15th here. The Calgary Flames were back at home, taking on the Chicago Blackhawks at the Scotiabank Saddledome. That's an 8 p.m. puck drop on Hockey Night in Canada here, and back home after a West Coast road trip, and maybe that was a factor in this game here. First, it was Jonathan Toews who opens up the scoring for Chicago, 30 seconds in to make 1-0. And continuing on with this theme of it seems like whether we score early or they score early here. However, Calgary was able to answer back. Just past the 2-minute mark, as Sam Bennett for Calgary makes it 1-1 here. So players like Mark Jankowski, Sam Bennett here, guys that were targeted for, should we trade them or shopping around here, they've been responding here recently. However, Chicago regains the lead past the 9-minute mark as Dominic Kubak, who definitely seems to have a big game against Calgary this season. That was his 23rd of the season, makes it 2-1 for Chicago here. However, Sam Bennett again, and it was 2-1 for Chicago here. However, Sam Bennett gets the second of the period just before the 13-minute mark to make it 2-2 here. So things looked 2-2 after the first period there. So definitely a lot of scoring here to report in the first period of this game here. There was definitely a lot more apparent scoring here the rest of the game here. However, the second period, it was Chicago that was able to pull away. However, Calgary did outplay Chicago at the same time, so it was definitely a frustrating period here. First is Brendan Saad, who makes it 3-2 for Chicago just before the 4.5-minute mark. And then it was Alex Nylander for Chicago, makes it 4-2 here a minute later. However, it was Elias Lindholm for Calgary, makes it a 4-3 game just before the 11-minute mark. But Chicago got a couple more goals late in the second period here. It was first Alex DeBrincat. He makes it 5-3 for Chicago at the 17.5-minute mark. And then Alex Nylander got his second of the game 27 seconds later here. So the next thing you know, it was 6-3 for Chicago. And Chicago took a 6-3 lead after the second period, where they picked up 4 goals in this period here. So things are definitely not looking good for the Calgary Flames here. Third period did not see any scoring until the 14-minute mark. First, it was Elias Lindholm, got his second of the game, 27th of the season here. Makes it a 6-4 game for Chicago here. However, ultimately, Chicago was able to pull away with this one and put it away here. First, it was Patrick Kane. You've heard him. Past the 16.5-minute mark. And then it was Kirby Dach in the final minute of the game here. Makes it 8-4 for Chicago, and ultimately the Chicago Blackhawks take this one 8-4 here. Tough loss for Calgary. Chicago is still outside looking in for the playoffs. However, Calgary could not gain some ground in the Pacific Division here, so the Chicago Blackhawks in some way played a little bit of a spoiler role here. But what's frustrating here is the Calgary Flames actually did outshoot the Chicago Blackhawks 42-28. They're including 20-9 alone in the third period here. Well, Calgary was led the way by Elias Lindholm and Sam Bennett. Each had 2-goal games here. And then Johnny Gaudreau, Dylan Dubé, and Oliver Shillington also chipped in with 2 assists there. So the way we're getting some offense here. However, Chicago definitely was led by their usual suspects. You know, Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. Well, they each had a goal and 2 assists there. They're leading players there. Dominic Kubalik and Kirby Dach also each chipped in with a goal and assist, as well as Alex Nylander had a 2-goal game there. So when it comes to the goaltending here, well, it's actually David Rittich who started and made 11 saves for Calgary on 50 shots before Cam Talbot took over, and it wasn't that much of a factor either, as he made 9 saves and 13 shots. Well, it was Robin Leonard for the Chicago Blackhawks. He definitely had a huge game as he made 38 saves for the Chicago Blackhawks here. So after 60 games here, the Calgary Flames have 30 wins, 24 losses, and 6 overtime and shootout losses. That gives them 66 points on the season here, which puts them 4th in the Pacific Division and 1st in the wildcard spot in the Western Conference here. So we're still in a playoff spot, but not comfortably in a playoff spot here. So let's pull out some quick player stats here, as I feel it's time to do that. So the top 5 goal getters for the Calgary Flames is Elias Lindholm's leading the way with 27 goals. Matthew Tkachuk is second with 19 goals. Third place is Sean Monahan with 17 goals here. Fourth place is Johnny Gaudreau with 14, and Michael Backlund has 10 goals there. And then when it comes to assists here, well, Johnny Gaudreau leads with 35 assists here, followed by Matthew Tkachuk with 29, Sean Monahan with 23, Mark Giordano has 22, and Elias Lindholm with 21 here. So the top 5 point getters here at this point in the season is Johnny Gaudreau has 49, Elias Lindholm the second, and also tied with Matthew Tkachuk. We each have 48 points. Fourth on the team is Sean Monahan with 40, and Michael Backlund rounds at the top 5 with 31 points there. So those are the statistical leaders here. So when it comes to the goaltending here, well, David Rittich, who was the starting goalie in 43 games here, he has 22 wins, 15 losses, and 5 overtime and shootout losses for a .293 goals against average and a .908 save percentage here. Actually, I believe he has 2 shutouts, if I know exactly on the season here. He has 2 shutouts here. And then when it comes to Cam Talbot here, he's actually doing all right, all things considered. He's played in 21 games here for the Flames. He has 8 wins, 9 losses, and 1 overtime or shootout loss for a .270 goals against average and a .919 save percentage here. So the save percentages are pretty good here, and the goals against average are fairly good here. And he has that one shutout there, including that game recently in Anaheim here. So those are the quick statistical stories for the Calgary Flames here. So now let's take a look at the standings here, as I'll look at the whole league here and lament on some possible playoff matchups here. Let's start out east here, as in the Atlantic Division here. In 59 games, the Boston Bruins are leading the way with 84 points here and actually are leading the league. Second place, actually is not too far behind, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. In 59 games, they have 83 points here. So the Tampa Bay Lightning definitely have been surging here. And to round up the top three in the Atlantic here is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have, after 59 games, they have 70 points here. So if we shift our focus to the Metropolitan Division here, the Washington Capitals lead the way. They have, in 58 games, they have 79 points here. Second place, in only 56 games, the Pittsburgh Penguins have 76 points here. Rounding out the top three is the New York Islanders. They, in fact, after 57 games, they have 72 points here. Now the two wild cards in the Eastern Conference here. This is all as of this recording, obviously. The Columbus Blue Jackets have the first wild card spot here. After 59 games, they have 71 points here. And then the second wild card is the Philadelphia Flyers. They have 59 points. In 59 games, they have 71 points here. Outside looking in here, well, the Carolina Hurricanes, I think, are still within striking distance here. They only played 57 games, and they're 69 points. They're only 2 points behind the Philadelphia Flyers with 2 games in hand there. And the Florida Panthers, in 58 games, they have 66 points here. So I think the Metropolitan is definitely going to have the 2 wild cards here. So the Florida Panthers are actually closer to the Toronto Maple Leafs, as they're only 4 points behind the Toronto Maple Leafs being the top 3 in the Atlantic Division there. And they're 5 points behind the Philadelphia Flyers for the second wild card there. So that's the Eastern Conference story here. So if we look at playoffs right now, the Boston Bruins would be hosting the Philadelphia Flyers there. That'll be definitely a nice matchup here. And the Washington Capitals, well, they'll be taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, or not the Carolina Hurricanes, the Columbus Blue Jackets here, as the Columbus Blue Jackets took on the Washington Capitals there a couple of years ago. And then you would have the Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs there, and the Pittsburgh Penguins hosting the New York Islanders here. So definitely some familiar series here, but I think my ultimate prediction here is I think the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to ultimately finish first in the Atlantic Division here. And the Metropolitan here, it's going to be a battle, obviously, between Washington and Pittsburgh. The Islanders have been up and down here, but watch out for the Philadelphia Flyers. The Columbus Blue Jackets have been, they've still been playing solid, and you can't count on Carolina and Florida. You'd think, they would be hanging around here. That's where I cut the line here in the Eastern Conference here. So now I'll shift our focus to the Western Conference here. In the Pacific Division, the Vancouver Canucks lead the way. After 58 games, they have 69 points here. Second place is the Edmonton Oilers. After 58 games, they have 68 points here. And in third place, around the top 3 in the Pacific here, is the Vegas Golden Knights. After 60 games, they have 68 points there. To shift our focus to the Central Division here, the St. Louis Blues, after 58 games, they have 74 points here. Now suddenly, the Dallas Stars have been picking it up here. After 58 games, they have 73 points here. And the Colorado Avalanche are hanging around here, around the top 3. After 57 games, they have 72 points here. So suddenly, the St. Louis Blues are looking over their shoulder here for the top of the Central Division there. And then when it comes to the wild card here, first wild card is the Calgary Flames. They have after 60 games, they have 66 points here. And the Arizona Coyotes are in the second wild card spot. They have 61 games, they have 66 points here. However, there's definitely a couple teams that we need to look over the shoulder, as well as definitely the Arizona Coyotes here. As the first spot outside looking in is the Nashville Predators here. They've only played 57 games here and have 63 points here. So the Nashville Predators, they have 4 games in hand on the Arizona Coyotes, 3 games in hand on the Calgary Flames here, and they're only 3 points back here. So definitely the Nashville Predators are hanging around here. The Winnipeg Jets, they're two spots down. After 59 games, they have 63 points there. And let's just say maybe the Minnesota Wild, after 58 games, they have 61 points there. We're looking at 5 points here. And the Chicago Blackhawks, after 58 games, they have 60 points here. So I'm going to say Winnipeg was where you cut the line here. But I'd worry about the Nashville Predators right now, especially with their games in hand here. So we're still precariously hanging on to our playoff spot here. But we're only 5 points behind the Vancouver Canucks. But they have 2 games in hand on us to get first in the Pacific there. So it's still ridiculously tight here. And the Central's definitely tightening up in the top 3 there. So when it comes to playoff seeding here, well, the St. Louis Blues have the best record here. They would be hosting the Arizona Coyotes here. And the Dallas Stars would be hosting the Colorado Avalanche here. While the Vancouver Canucks, they actually will be taking on the Calgary Flames. That would definitely be a great series. And also, I guess going to say Edmonton and Vegas. So Edmonton would host Vegas there. So definitely some intriguing matchups here. So that's something we're going to have to keep doing here as we go down the stretch here. As after this episode, there's 4 more episodes in the regular season there, and hopefully a couple more at least after that for playoffs here. So let's take a look ahead here for the next 6 games, which will be episode 12 here. Game 61, this will be on Monday, February the 17th here, as the Calgary Flames will be taking on the Anaheim Ducks here, this time at home at the Scotiabank Saddledome. That's a 2 p.m. puck drop here. That's definitely a game we should definitely be taking advantage of. Game 62 here, however, this will be a big test here, as the Calgary Flames will be taking on the Boston Bruins here. This will be at home at the Scotiabank Saddledome. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop here, and then the Calgary Flames go on to the road here as they're going on a Southeast tour here. First, Game 63 here. This happens on Sunday, February 23rd, which is trade deadline eve here. So the Calgary Flames will be on the road when the trade deadline happens here. The Calgary Flames will be taking on the lowly Detroit Red Wings here at the Little Caesars Arena here. 5 p.m. puck drop here, so the Calgary Flames definitely need to take that game. And then Game 64 here, the Calgary Flames will be taking on the Boston Bruins again here, but this time in Boston. That'll be a 5 p.m. puck drop at the TD Garden here. All these times are Mountain Time, by the way. And then Thursday, February 27th here, this will be Game 65 here. Woo! The Calgary Flames will be taking on the Nashville Predators here at the Bridgestone Arena here. That's definitely going to be a huge game. As I mentioned, the Nashville Predators, they have 3 games in hand on the Calgary Flames, and they're only 3 points behind as of this recording here. Hopefully the Calgary Flames can take advantage of the Nashville Predators this time here. We definitely had an interesting game the last time we were in Nashville there. And then the wrap-up game, the next episode here, Game 66 here. Well, this is definitely going to be fun. On Saturday, February the 29th here, definitely is going to be a tough test, as the Calgary Flames will be taking on the dreaded Tampa Bay Lightning on Leap Year Day at the Milan Arena here. That'll be a 2 p.m. puck drop here, so it's an afternoon delight in Florida here. So looking at the next 6 games here, well, there's a couple of games that I think the Calgary Flames should have here with the Anaheim Ducks and the Detroit Red Wings here. However, we definitely got some challenges here as we're taking on the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're the top 2 teams in the NHL right now, but the biggest game is definitely the Nashville Predators here, and who knows what the Calgary Flames would be doing between now and next Monday, February the 24th here, as that would be the trade deadline here. And I still feel like the Calgary Flames, and the fact that they have some cap space to play with, because they traded Michael Frolik last month there, but things muddied the waters a little with our injured defenseman there. So yeah, that's my Calgary Flames in 6 here. Recapping games 55 to 60 here. Definitely wasn't as interesting compared to the last episode there, but we played the Oilers a couple times there. But yeah, just up and down season continues here, as I think this team's good enough to make the playoffs, but the way they're playing right now, I don't see a long playoff run in them right now. But prove me wrong, please. I want a nice long playoff run here. But anyway, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey here, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders here, just make sure you subscribe, follow along here, especially that bell icon, to be notified as soon as this Calgary sports fan uploads anything, including that jersey rankings video that I'm working on, and hopefully I'll have that up here within a week here, as I've recorded it already. I just need to put all my graphics in, make it look pretty, and make sure I document everything that I've used and all that wonderful stuff there. And you're going to find out what this Calgary sports fan thinks are the best and worst jerseys that the Calgary Flames if ever worn. I also do some personal vlogs, an attempt at comedy, and I share my experiences on my smartphone, let's say if I'm at a sporting event, or I'm on holidays there. And I also have my social media links down below there. So as I always say, go Flames go here, and hopefully the second half of February will definitely, we can make a statement here and pick up some big wins against some top teams here. And who the heck knows what are we going to be doing at the NHL trade deadline. But if it's anything major enough that warrants its own video, I'll make a video on any trades that the Calgary Flames make that's significant enough. However, it's just if we were just trading a late draft pick for a depth player, I'll just throw that in the next episode there. So, go Flames go, and I'll see you in the next video there.